Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name's Sarah and I'm the mom of a 14-month-old little boy named George. And today I'm going to be showing you how we incorporate the Montessori principles at home. The main focus is practical life. Practical life is basically the things that we teach our kids to do that are everyday things. So for example, cooking or washing your hands or wiping down a table, doing laundry, that kind of stuff. It's just everyday stuff. And practical life at this point really makes up the majority of our day. What I used to do is I used to think that I needed to entertain George and play with him, which was great, but what would happen is I'd put him down for a nap and I'd feel this sense of urgency and a rush to get everything done while he was asleep so that when he was awake, I was engaging with him and playing with him. And actually, the Montessori philosophy suggests that you actually invite your kids in to do all that stuff with you. So if you need to do some sweeping up, then invite them to sweep up with you. If you need to do some laundry, then invite them to do laundry with you. And it's going to slow you down for sure, especially in the beginning, I've noticed, because, you know, they're just learning. But they can do simple things, and the more you practice with them, the more that they get the hang of it and the easier it gets. And toddlers want to be helpful. Naturally, from what I've read, they just want to be doing what you're doing and to be helping. So we've really taken that concept and ran with it. Practical life has been one of George's favorite things ever. I tend to be a little bit of, I don't want to say like a clean freak, but I definitely like to keep my area tidy. George just comes along with me and does the same things. Sometimes he'll go off and do his own thing, and sometimes he'll help me, but I just ask him. After lunch, for example, I'll say, oh, looks like there's some crumbs on the floor. We need to sweep up. Would you like to help me sweep? And if he does, which is pretty much like 95% of the time right now, he will go over to his little corner, he'll grab his broom, and he'll start sweeping up with me, and it's so adorable. He is terrible at it, so the crumbs get everywhere and it's actually counterproductive. But the point is that he's involved, he feels like a contributing part of the family, and he feels like that he has a place in our family and that he's helpful. So I'm going to continue our tour around the apartment and to show you how we've made things accessible to George, and that's mostly for practical life purposes. So really just trying to make it so that he feels like he's independent in the space and that he is capable of doing anything that we're doing, because he just needs to learn. Last week I talked a little bit about my shelf and about our Montessori materials and our toys, and then we did the front hall area where he has his coat and his boots and things like that. So if you missed that video, feel free to go back and check it out, and let's continue on our tour. The bathroom. Another place where we try to make everything as accessible as possible for George. So this is George's little space in the bathroom. It's just below our towel rack by the entrance to the bathroom. Again, I've got those little sticker mirrors put up there. And this is just a plastic little thing I found at the dollar store. It came with suction cups, but I just screwed it to the wall, as you can see. Yeah, so he's got a little place to put his brush, his toothbrush. He loves brushing his teeth and his hair. He's got a place to hang up his bath towel. These baskets are actually, this one and the ones in the hall are actually taped to the floor with something that I found called carpet tape, which is basically heavy-duty double-sided tape meant for underneath carpet so they don't slip. But they're great for these things because they just are stuck to the ground. He does have a potty here, as you can see. We're not toilet training him just yet, but I did want him to get used to the idea of it being here. We talk about it every once in a while. I'll see if he wants to use it, and he's just not interested yet, but it is there when he needs it. We do all of our diapering here in the bathroom now, and that's just to get him sort of set for potty training when it's time. That, you know, bathroom stuff happens in the bathroom. I have a couple of books in here for him, a little toy to keep him distracted while I do stand-up diapering. Oh, you'll notice that there's no toilet paper in the toilet paper roll, and that's because I simply don't trust him with it. He loves to get a hold of the toilet paper roll, and, you know, classic, he will undo it and there's toilet paper everywhere and he rips it and it's just like a whole thing. That is where we keep our toilet paper. Sorry, we've got a couple of notes on our bathroom wall about things that you can say instead of good job. Just some, good reminders. The other thing I wanted to show you is how we've decided to do the hand washing station to start. So George having full access to water 24/7 is something that I'm not 100% comfortable with at the moment for safety reasons and for mess reasons, really. So what I do have is that little step stool. So that step stool we use around the house, but mainly we use it here in the bathroom to wash hands. So I will take it out when it's time. He climbs up it himself. He can turn on the tap himself. I have a bar of soap there in that Tupperware container just because it's a little easier for him to wash his hands with a bar of soap, because coordinating, trying to use the pump is a little bit more difficult for him actually. So he takes the bar of soap, we wash hands, and then he can't really get down by himself, but I'm working on sort of showing him how to slowly, and then we put the stool away. So that's how we're making it work for access to water at the moment. He can't yet take that stool out by himself, so the setup's working for now. All right, on our way to the kitchen, I just wanted to stop real quick and talk about the bookshelf I have set up here. I am actually sitting on the ground right now. That's how low this bookshelf is. So it's just a thrifted spice rack actually, and I've just put a couple of books facing outwards here. I usually put a maximum of 3 just so that he can see the covers. It is recommended in Montessori that you put your books for your kids facing outward so they can actually see the covers and can know which ones to choose. You just rotate the books out. I will touch upon the realistic versus the not realistic a little bit here. I mentioned it in my last video about the stuffed animals. In Montessori, typically they suggest going for realistic books, so books where characters like animals are talking aren't considered Montessori. This is where I veer away from Montessori. I don't think that we should only have realistic books in the house. I think that reading is fantastic no matter what you want to read, how you want to read. Books in general are just fantastic. So if there's a little bit of fantasy and fiction in there, then that's completely okay with me as long as he's enjoying the story and reading. And also I think there's something to be said for, the magic of childhood and the magic of, talking animals and characters and things like that. It's just, I don't know, I have fond memories, so I want to kind of pass that on to George as well. So we have all kinds of different books in here. I definitely, if I see a book such as this one with real pictures in it, then I will for sure grab it. However, I do have lots of non-realistic books as well. So if it comes up as he gets older in terms of, talking animals or different characters, then I just feel like we'll have a conversation about it and that'll be that kind of thing. So I have a main bookshelf in the bedroom which has all of his bedtime stories in it and things like that, where he actually picks out his own bedtime story these days. But this is one that I want him to have access to kind of 24/7. You can see my learning tower in the background here. That is the learning tower that I definitely recommend. Not just that particular one. This one I actually got. It's an Ontario company called Two Sticks, and it's fantastic. It's well made, it's beautiful, and it's fairly priced. But really any learning tower that you can get is good, or really any just step stool. If you can't, then a chair works just fine. You just have to be there and watching them kind of thing. The learning tower has definitely been an investment. However, he uses it multiple times a day, like all day, every day. And rather than, I don't have space to get him like a child-sized kitchen, which a lot of Montessorians do. And you either bring everything down to their level or you bring them up to our level. So in the kitchen, we definitely bring him up to our level. We have a high top dining room table, which makes getting in and out of his chair really difficult. So that's why I have the weaning table. I touched on that a little bit last week. I do eat with him there for some snacks and some lunches, but we're practicing and kind of slowly transitioning him out of the booster and into the weaning table. However, when Dave's home, I like the 3 of us to sit at the dining room table, obviously, and because it's a high top, it's just too high for him to be able to get in and out. Maybe we'll figure out something with a step stool as he gets a little bit older and a little more sturdy. And then in terms of when he's working in the kitchen, I can put the learning tower up to the counter, and And then the other thing you might notice is this red thing right here behind me. That's actually just a heart, a Valentine's Day heart. If you follow me on Insta, you will have seen this story, but what I was gonna do is hang it up at our level, and then we can all enjoy it from our kitchen table, which is just right beside me here. But as I was putting it up on the hook, he was just all about it. He wanted to hang it up himself. He wanted to look at it and touch it. And really, I mean, I just got it at the dollar store. It's metal with this like a wicker kind of thing. One of the reasons I picked it was it's mostly natural materials, so I like that. But also there's nothing on here really that can be dangerous. So, I mean, obviously I'll keep an eye on it, and if a piece like breaks off or something, then I'll be on it. But for now, he enjoys playing with it. He loves hanging things up, so he likes putting it. I just have a command hook right there. As usual, I love command hooks if you're new here. Because it's Valentine's Day right now, I have a little heart up there for him, so that's that. But yes, main themes here. Everything on his level, things accessible to him, making him feel respected, connected, part of, you know, that kind of thing. So this is our little dining nook right beside the kitchen. Our kitchen is just through there. I'll take you in there in a minute. This is where I put his learning tower, and I have a couple of little cleaning supplies here, and this is our dining room table. And this is what I was talking about for George's setup and how he sits at the table. So it's actually just a booster. I usually put a cloth on it because half the time he's not wearing pants, so it's just a little softer and comfier for him. And I actually just have a garbage bag over it so that it doesn't get ruined and it's easy to wipe down. And then just to boost him up a tiny little bit more, underneath here I have a couple of those foam playmat things, so I just keep taking layers of those as he grows out of it. In the little cleaning nook, I just have another one of those plastic holders that I've put on the wall, and he's got a couple of cleaning cloths, which are just old baby washcloths, and a little sponge. So the sponge is just a full-size sponge that I actually have cut in 3, so it's mini and little for his hands. Then I have a Swiffer, which he loves to dust with. I have a tiny little dustpan, which I found at the dollar store, as well as a little broom, which I found at the dollar store. In terms of the kitchen utensils and plates and things like that, right now we really enjoyed just getting into the bottom cupboards. So I have them locked off, but because he likes doing it so much, I did leave one open and it's full of things that he is okay to play with. So it's our pots and pans cupboard, and I just kind of cleared a space with his bin where I was keeping the plastic cups and the suction cup plates and bowls and things like that. But it's really not super organized. It's just in a bin because honestly, he just like multiple times a day, he will get in there and just take everything out, and then everything's all over the floor and it's just a huge mess. And like if I wanted to keep that organized, it would definitely be like constantly driving me nuts because it just wouldn't happen. So right now it's just a bin. I've been starting to think about how I'm going to evolve that into something more organized, where I have the plates set there, where I have the cup, you know, that kind of thing. But right now he just likes to go in there and tear through it, so I just don't see a huge point of organizing it too hard. The other thing is a lot of Montessorians do like to use glasses and breakable dishes, and I get that, and I have incorporated some glasses occasionally. I just have these tiny little glasses. I think they're actually like tea light holders or something, but anyways, every once in a while I would give them to him and let him practice with it. He did break one though, and a lot of the time I just am worried. He also like sort of clanks his teeth against the glass. I don't feel great about that, you know, things like that. So anyways, I do have on standby some plates and bowls and glasses for him that are breakable. I think what I'm going to start doing is, and I have done it a little bit, is started to incorporate that into more of the weaning table, because if it does drop, first of all, it's wood floor versus our ceramic tile, so less likely to break, and it's a shorter distance too. So that's one of the things that I've really noticed since having a baby. And Montessori or not, I feel like you're, as a new parent, just constantly evolving and trying to keep up with like what's gonna happen next, because they just so much changes in the first year, and now I'm learning still in the second year. He's just always growing and learning and being able to do more things or getting into more things, and I've just really had to like try to stay 2 steps ahead of him in terms of like how to set up the home. And then when you bring in these Montessori philosophies on top of that, there's even more to think about. So I'm really enjoying sort of the research and constantly evolving the home. I'm always thinking about what's next kind of thing, but also it's exhausting a little bit. So glass. So just to give you an idea of the things that I've been saving for him, I have a tiny little tongs, I have a little sieve, this is just a measuring cup, a tiny little strainer, he can wash his berries and things in that. In the summer I'll probably bring a lot of this out. I have a little wok for him. I don't know exactly what scenario we're going to use this in, but it came in a pack with a bunch of this stuff thrifting, so I'll see. I'll have fun with it. This is probably my favorite. It's so adorable. Look how mini it is. It's just a little jug. You know, I know it's plastic and I try to stay away from plastic if I can, but it's just so cute. It's exactly like one that I had growing up, like a full-size one. And then these little tiny cups that come with it, and they happen to match my outdoor patio set, so I think in the springtime and the summer we'll have a lot of fun hanging out on the balcony and maybe drinking some iced tea out of it or some, I don't know, fruit water or something like that. So yeah, these are just the little things that I've been saving. Oh yeah, and a little tiny little funnel too. It's fun to collect. I'll know when he's ready when I know. This is our little kitchen. It's modest, nothing fancy or crazy. I have some dishes that I just finished doing. As you can see at the bottom here of our cabinets, they all have baby locks on them. I originally had this one, has a baby lock on it too, as you can see, but when I saw he really wanted to get into the cupboards and I spend a lot of time in the kitchen, I decided to make that his cupboard. So I don't actually lock that one anymore. It's just got one on from before. So this is his cupboard. It's where we house our pots and pans. And then just in here, he's got his bin just full of sort of miscellaneous baby things. So I just keep it as a bin for now. And then I just have his magnets for the fridge. That's his little area he likes. And then a picture of my sister and her husband, which we like to tell him who they are because they live a little bit far away, and just getting him used to their faces. And then you can see I have those foam things on the ground because he does, especially when he was younger, spend a lot of time sitting and playing with this area. So I just put those down so it's a little bit comfier. This is my closet. I have my clothes and then a couple of his things. Then what I've done underneath is I've made a little shelf. So it's just an old shoe rack that I've had forever, and I took a lot of my shoes off of it because I don't really wear my high heels these days. And I just put a few plastic trays in there with a couple of different materials and a couple of different toys. Most of them are open-ended with the exception of the object permanence box. If you haven't seen my other video, you'll notice right here, this is a little chute that I made George. It's just a cracker box that I duct taped to the wall essentially, and he likes to put things through it. Living in a small space definitely has pluses and minuses to it. One of the minuses is we share a space for sleeping. That is fine, I don't mind it, but I'm really struggling with what to do in terms of our Montessori space in the bedroom. Now I would love to have his own room for him and set it all up baby safe and have a floor bed and, you know, all that stuff, but that's just not our reality at the moment. So things that I'm concerned about in the bedroom if I give him a floor bed, because I've definitely thought about it. I've been this close to doing it, but number one, even though it is baby safe, I still feel like there are some corners that he could run into, and as he grows, my main concern is that he'll get up on the bed and fall off of it, on my bed and fall off of it, and there's really nothing I can do about that. So I am concerned about that a little. And the other thing is that our sleep philosophy is that we have done some gentle sleep training with him. I made a video about that, so I'll also link that for you, but concerned that if he can get out himself, then he will come into my bed, and that is just for us not a habit that I want to start. I know lots of people do co-sleeping and things like that, but it's just not my jam. So I'm concerned about how it's all gonna look and change if I incorporate the floor bed, just because we share a room with him. So that is the situation with the bedroom. So that pretty much wraps up our tour of how we Montessori at home. As you can see, tons of what we do right now is practical life activities, especially because it's winter and there's not a lot of outdoor times. It's been a really rough winter. We've had a lot of snow and a lot of cold temperatures, so we spent a lot of time inside. Because of that, it's been a great opportunity for us to get into practical life activities. With him being 14 months old, he's showing tons of interest in it, tons of focus on making things accessible for him and how he can be a part of the day-to-day goings on of the home. If you want to hear a little bit more about our shelf work, toy rotation, that kind of thing, give me a comment and I will see if I can get together more information on that and more of a video on sort of how I do our toy rotation and how I set up our shelf. it's worth mentioning that it's not just how we set up the home, it's also how we treat each other. Respecting each other and respecting our environment is something that we're really trying to focus on as we raise George, and something that Maria Montessori was big on as well. My journey in learning about how to incorporate Montessori lifestyle at home is ever evolving, ever changing, and I'm constantly learning as well. So thanks for watching. It's been great hanging out with you, and I will see you in the next video.